Hi everyone, welcome back to Aidans Railways. Little video tonight. It's more of an experiment as opposed to a how-to. You know the old HSTs that you can get from Hornby? I've got a number of them. So I've picked up a lot of the spares, and I've picked up some bits and pieces I've got lying around, and I'm going to change the wheat grain light bulb in the front and replace it with two LEDs. With resistors fitted that I don't have to fit myself. It does work, I can tell you it does work. See what you think. I know you can buy kits where you can actually replace the whole front section inside with, you know, a little pre-printed board and everything like that, but I'm just looking at the whole budget aspect of it and just seeing as a cheaper option if this is worth it or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is all of these models here, I've got many on the back shelf as well, the GNER one, Virgin Railways one, there's even my HSTP. They're all the same model, they're just painted differently. So the first thing you need to do is get this body shell off. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. Now this one I know doesn't have the wiring inside and it hasn't got the motor in the back. This is a dummy car, right? And for all intents and purposes that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do the dummy car. Now this one hasn't got the wiring in it. I know it hasn't got the wiring in it. It's just a spare. So both of the actual bogies will just come straight off if I push them in. So all you've got to do there is, if you just look, you can see the tag there, push it in and it'll drop out. And you can just see there, one side's got a flat edge, one side's got a tapered edge. So that's the side you want to get pushed in. So it's the same as this, it's nearly always the inside one. I think that one's actually in back to front, yeah. It's not got anything on. Now, normally you've got a wire running there from the rear one, and you've got a wire running from this one on the dummy car. So you can choose to take them off and then just disconnect the wires, that's entirely up to you, or you can leave them on while you're taking the shell off. Now if you have a look, you'll see that there's a locating point there, and on the rear, there. It's the same on the opposite side. What you need to do is get this body shell open like that. As soon as you get it open, you can start manoeuvring things. So what I'm going to do, just to try and help me along, I've just got a metal rule there. I'm just going to ease it along the body. And it's just going to help widen it up enough. You can just see there that the pins have located and the body shell started to move. So I've lifted that one up. And I just use my nail on this side, if I can get it in there. They're really quite sturdy. You can see there the centre ones have both lifted out. That one's lifted out that side. And if I just run my fingernail along, it's lifted the front ones out. So if you just keep your fingers like that and your thumb, they've all disconnected from the body shell bar the rear one. And then all you've got to do is pull it out. That's it, it's off. That's just a body weight that goes in the back. You can see there's the nodule. There you can just see the nodule there that locates in the back as well. Nothing damaged, it just comes straight out. So that is quite literally how you get the body shell off. While we've got the body shell off, and I'll just show you what it looks like if it's actually still got the wires on. There you go. There's just a wire at the rear bogie, and there's a wire attached to the front bogie, and the little very, very minimal cab detail there, and they just run round to what is the old bulb. That's it. They just, those pins just push into there and the bulb is just held on. And this here, if you don't know what that is effectively a diode. Basically what it does is it allows the power to travel in one direction but not the other. So that's how it'll only light up when it's going forward but not in reverse. What I'm using to modify it is, on eBay you can buy packets of LEDs pre-wired, and you can see there with the resistor already fitted. These are just 3mm wide ones. They're very little in the way of money because they're not much money at all. You buy them in big packs, but obviously I'm running down a bit now on them. I've got a pack of red, I've got a pack of white. I actually bought packs of amber and green as well because I was also using them in lights on models as well for the railway. So I'll just put them to one side. So there we've got, and they're very clearly marked positive and negative, right? It's dead easy. because these are a diode, an LED, light emitting diode, right, they will only work in one direction. Positive running through this side and the negative out of there. Same as that. But we only want one to come on in one direction and one in the other. So if you don't know anything about LEDs and things like that, the easiest thing to remember here is you've got a red one, you've got a white one. You only want one to come on in one direction and one to come on the other. So what we're going to do is, the wires that are already coming off these, I am going to solder the red one and the black one together, and the red one and the black one together there. And then I'm going to strip them back so they are ready to be attached to the wires that are already present in the model. So we'll do that now. I've just stripped the wires back on each set of the LEDs. I've attached a red wire to a black wire on the opposite LED, and the red wire to the black wire on the opposite LED as well. So it should look like that. Right? That means that when they're wired up to the terminals, providing we get them the right way around on the model, only one will light up depending on which direction. The next bit's making sure they're actually in the right, set up for the right direction. But what we need to do here is solder these up, tin them and solder them up ready, get them together, and then we can move on to cutting and stripping the wires on here that we need to do to attach these. But first of all, I'm going to tin these wires, solder them together and tin them up. There we go, that's them tinned. You can just see there, if it'll focus in, nice and shiny, nice and shiny. They don't need to be that long, but I've made them that long because then I can always trim them. Better to have them longer than shorter. Right, I'll just put them to one side. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to place this onto the rolling road so that you can actually see that this does in fact work, the bulb that's in there at the moment. Now you can see the lights illuminated there, and we currently have absolutely nothing happening with the bulb here at the moment. Alright, now I'll turn the power down, turn the power across, and then you can see that the light is working. Oh, there we go. And that's because of the diode. It's only working in one direction because of the diode at the back here. We aren't going to need that because we are using two light emitting diodes, and one will light up in one direction and one will light in the opposite direction. So all I need to do is I need to know right now, there we go, I know that that needs to be the white LED while it's in that direction. So I know now that the polarity on the controller is set for this to be travelling in forward motion, because we can see the light illuminated. Right, so before we move on any further, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm sure a lot of you are already aware, but the only thing holding this bulb in is the two wires with the pressure of these two metal pins pushing through those holes. So as soon as I release those pins, the bulb will fall out. So I'm just going to gently ease this cab front, or very minimal detail off. It just literally pushes off these two pins. I'm just going to put that to one side, and you can see there. Okay, that is all that is holding that bulb in. As soon as I push those pins through, that's it. There's nothing holding that bulb in anymore. So I'm just going to release them and then release the bulb. I'm not going to throw the bulb away. I'm going to keep a hold of it. You never know when it might come in useful. I want to establish now which side is going to be positive for the forward motion. So that's so when it's travelling forwards, I want the white light. So I'm just going to contact the wire there and contact the wire there. Right. I don't know if you can see this very well, but there we go. So the rear bogie is going to be the positive for this one. So before I go any further, I now know that this wire here is my positive for going forward, and I know this one is my negative for going forward. So I don't want to lose the pins, I want to keep them, but I don't need the wire anymore. What I don't need is this diode, so I'm just literally going to snip it there. I want to keep that bit there, I'm just going to snip it off there. And then what I'm going to do is at the front here, where you can see that pin terminal, I'm just going to cut it short off there. I'm just going to remove that wire. We don't need that wire anymore off to one side. So for the time being, that's going to do me just fine. So that's my positive. I know that. So if I go like this, and I go like this, let's see if I've still got the power pack on. Okay, so if I go like this, and I go like this, I've got my white light straight away. Okay, that's all still working. So if I take this off, put it to one side, what I now need to do is solder this wire to this wire, but at the same time I need to make sure, and this is where everyone trips up, and I've done it a million times over, I want some heat shrink over this wire ready to cover up the join, but I don't need that much. So I'm actually just gonna cut that in half, and that'll do both bits that I'm gonna do today. I'm just gonna slide that across the top of those wires. It's out of the way. It's also gonna help me identify that as being my positive forward motion for the minute. I'm just going to trim this wire down a little bit. It doesn't need to be that long. And I'm just going to twist this wire around that wire as well, and then I'm going to tin it all up with a bit of solder and then secure the join. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that over there so you might be able to see a little bit better what I'm doing. Soldering iron, solder, tin the tip. I'm just going to run it along. Now it shouldn't take long for that to dry. It should be dry now, in fact. Let's have a look. Wonderful. So all I'm going to do now is just fit that heat shrink over the top. Get the tip of this, or rather the edge of it, just run it back and forth, both sides, this side. I just want it to get a hold of the actual wire and shrink down to it so it's not going to move. There we go. So that one there, that's totally secure now. So I've tinned the tip of that wire, and not forgetting to put on my heat shrink. I'm going to place that on this wire here. I'm just going to wind the two together. Use this clamp here just to hold it where I want it. There we go. That's all the soldering that needs to be done. Just give that a second to dry up. Just going to trim the edge here. And then thread the insulation or the shrink wrap, the heat shrink over the top of those wires there on the join, and then very quickly with the soldering iron just rub some heat over it. There we go. Right, so that's the wires soldered up. Now just to check, there we go. You can see, if I actually put the wheels on the rails properly, you can see we have the white one here illuminated. And if I switch that off, we've got the red one illuminated. I don't know how well you can see that. Yes. So let's disconnect that. So that's the wiring soldered up. Now I just need to fit them into place so that nothing's going to move, and I might need to use a little bit of tape. Now this is why I wanted to keep the pins at the front, and it's purely just for helping locate the lamps at the front. Use that to hold them into position. You don't have to use the pins at the front to hold it in position. I'm just using it because they were there to begin with, so I might just take that pin out to help me do it. There we go, you can see that pin's just holding those two wires in. It's just going to stop them from moving around. So I'll pop this one out, bring that round. I'll just put the pin back in. And that's basically going to hold them in place. Now, before I continue, I just want to point out for anyone who doesn't know, there's the light. The piece of plastic that's just inserted, and it's literally got two prongs. Don't know how well you can see, one there and one there. That is what's transferring the light into the front here to give you that white light originally. So all I'm going to do now is replace, I've just literally replaced those grain of wheat bulbs, which is what it was, that grain of wheat bulb, with an LED. That's all I've actually done. So I'll just put that cab back on. And if you look, there's actually a gap at the side there that the wires will just locate through. Alright, so it doesn't cause any problems. I'm just going to feed the body back in, trying not to trap any of the wires as best I can, because we need to get that back, the front back in. So there we go, got the front in, and just before I actually push it all the way home and lock it into place, Now what I'm going to do is turn off the lights. So I don't know how well you can see that. There's the white lights. Okay, so there's your rear lights. I don't know how well it shows up on the camera. I really don't know how. I can tell you in person that they are really very bright, the two dots. And then there's your front ones, which obviously being white are incredibly bright, but there you go. So I hope that's helped you. Maybe give it a try at home. It's entirely up to you. It's very simple. There's nothing to it, but that's it. It's that simple. There's no. If you can get those pre-wired LEDs with the resistors on, the correct voltage and everything like that, it's not a big deal, and they are incredibly cheap on the internet. I hope that helps some of you. Thank you for watching. I'll do another one on stripping down the motor bogie shortly, and hopefully that might help you with changing bushes and things like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you again later. Bye now.